What's up, everybody? I'm Kyle Carlson, and this is the Rollback BMX Podcast, the number one BMX podcast in the universe, according to me. Today we have a very special guest. This man is the greatest BMX rider in the history of BMX riding, Mr. Ryan Goddamn Nyquist. Ryan talks about battling the recent hurricane in North Carolina, his intentions to compete in the 2020 Olympics, his time in the mountain bike world and why he's chosen to leave it, doing 400,000 bar spins in just 1 week, and a whole lot of other incredibly interesting topics. So grab a frosty beverage, sit back, listen up. This is the Rollback BMX Podcast with BMX icon Mr. Ryan Nyquist. Señor Nyquist, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien, gracias. ¿Y tú?
I'm totally lost now.
That was Spanish.
So thank you for doing the podcast. Appreciate you putting in the time.
You're very welcome.
I know you had a big announcement, so go for it.
Yeah. I was hungry, but I ate dinner, and my announcement was I'm full.
We had to do all this for that.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Is that it? We're done? It's like
no,
20-second podcast?
I guess now we should discuss dinner or something like that, right?
Yeah, we had sushi.
How are you?
Good. Little sore from riding.
I'm happy you survived the hurricane.
Me too. That was my first hurricane.
I was on the West Coast, and whenever they'd show it on TV, it was all just like Wilmington is fucked, and I'm like, that's where Ryan lives, on the beach.
I know. It was. I got a lot of phone calls nice phone calls about people that cared and text messages. But
I had a couple good ones where I'd text you and just didn't hear back, and I'm like, either he's busy saving his family or they're all dead.
No, it was.
You were being a bad friend.
Yeah. No cell phone service, basically. But bad friend also. Yeah, the area I was in didn't get hit super hard, but parts of Wilmington are like still flooded. Like it wasn't a joke. Like there was a lot of stuff going on there, but my area there wasn't any major damage except just like fallen trees, limbs.
Do you have insurance for that? Like if your house would have got screwed up?
Yeah, I bought like hail and wind insurance. So like if my house was to get blown over.
That seems to me like one of the things someone would tell you, like, oh, you're already spending all this money. Do you want hurricane insurance? I'd be like, that's the fakest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. And so but I was just like in my head, I was like, like we're moved here and like where we live, it's like there's like the beach and then there's this intercoastal waterway and then like we're not that far from the coast. So we're like less than a mile from actual like water.
Yeah,
so,
beachfront property. You're
not beachfront property.
You're a very rich man.
Yes, thank you. But no, I wish my wife would love that. But we could have been in harm's way. And in fact, the eye of the storm, literally the track of it went over our neighborhood. So like it could have been really bad. Luckily it got downgraded from like a category 4, which it was like kind of at one point it was a 4, and then it got downgraded to a 1 like the night it actually hit. So
all that happened, and that was when it was a 1 versus a 4.
Yeah, so like
wow, so 4 would have been bad.
Oh, 4 would have been horrible. And so my wife and I we're like, so that was a 1. There's no way we're staying for even a 3. Like 2 will even question it depending on what it is. But like, in a sense, it like kind of worked out pretty nice because we were getting ready to ride it out in a category 4, not knowing what really that meant. And then it downgraded to a 1. And then even past that, it downgraded to just tropical storm.
I generally like gravitate towards like the better safe than sorry idea. I like that you were doing the exact opposite. How bad could it be? We'll just figure it out.
I mean, people might look at what I do on a bike and be like, well, you're pretty gnarly and stuff. I was like, let's get out of here. My wife was like, we're good. Like, we're fine. Let's just stay. Like, we'll stay in the living room. We'll camp out. And I was like, okay. All right, let's do it. So yeah.
Your wife doesn't love you or the kids? Is that what you're getting at here?
She loves all of us very much and wanted to be very protected. So we picked an area of the house that was very sheltered from trees possibly going. We had the house, like the windows boarded up. So we did everything we were supposed to do. I had to remove a bunch of debris from the yard that might get picked up by 100-mile winds and become like a missile that would go through like the windows or whatever. It was pretty serious. Like the tension of like people around, it was pretty wild. Like you could just feel like people were just like not psyched. It was just, I don't know, it was just really weird like around town. So like the hurricane prep stuff was like, to me, kind of like, oh man, like something's gonna happen here soon. Like it was just really odd. I don't know. I can't really explain it. It was just like,
yeah, you're doing a bad job.
There was like an urgency of like in the air of like stuff needed to get done and needed to happen right away.
How old's your oldest son?
He's 9. He'll be 10 in November.
Could he grasp that there was something gnarly going on?
No, we explained it to all of them.
Yeah,
but like they didn't really understand that like this was going to be more than just like some wind and rain. It was like a storm, and like the storm could potentially like knock a tree down. Like that was our main fear. It was like a big, huge pine tree that's like on either side of our house falling on the house and like, you know, us being a part of the house could like, it could land on us, you know?
Yeah.
And so we tried to explain like, hey, we're going to be camping. Like we literally set up all the beds, everything in the living room in an area that we're like, okay, if a tree hits a house, I think this is safe. And so we were all camping out for like probably, I think it was a week.
Was it fun?
No. There wasn't like the wife and I were on an air mattress. I was really sore. Like it just, you know, and the kids, it was like power's out. So like it was super hot, super muggy. We were all just sweating. We didn't have any fans. It was rough. Like I had a generator. We were fortunate. I brought that from California. I had to buy it and I didn't know it was going to come in handy for North Carolina, but we could plug that in. So like we plugged in the refrigerator so we could have like the food that we bought didn't go bad. But everything else was like, dude, this kind of sucks. Like it was like camping, but like there just wasn't like an end. Like when you go camping, you're like, oh, we're camping for like a couple nights. It was like,
that's part
how
of the fun.
long are we going to be camping for? So, but yeah, I'm happy we survived too.
So you've been back in North Carolina about a year?
Yeah, just over a year.
What do you think?
I like it.
Good move?
Yeah, I think so.
The right move?
I think so. I mean, I'm not one to look back and have regrets.
Yeah.
You know, so I think for us, like to pull the trigger, like on moving from California back to North Carolina, I just feel like we thought about it, we waited out, and we made a decision, and then we moved forward. Like I'm not one to sit there and go like, man, it would have been great. Like if we would have kept our house in California, we would have been like so rich or like this. It's just like, no, we do that. We move forward. And so like, we all really like Wilmington, North Carolina. It's like, one of the biggest points for us was, like when we moved to California, we kind of always thought like, man, it'd be kind of cool to go back to North Carolina. And one of the things we always thought about was like the people in North Carolina.
Well, you initially moved back because your mom got sick, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any reason that you hung out there as long as you did after she'd passed?
Just for my dad, like just make sure he got settled in and stuff. Cause like, you know, they were married for a very long time and it just was one of those things we were worried about. It was like, okay, we want to make sure he's good. So then he was fine. We liked it in California too. Like we were living in Santa Cruz. It was a beautiful spot. Like there was lots of benefits to being there too. But then we just thought about it. I was like, man, we could be anywhere. And my wife had this long dream of opening up her own like studio for exercise, like a gym. And the market there in California was so saturated.
There's
Plus
3 on every corner.
Yeah. And like it's like costs like millions of dollars to do that in California. And so we're like, well, we can go anywhere else pretty much in the States and live a lot better quality of life. And so we're like, well, what are we doing? So like when we finally just decided to pull the trigger, it's like Wilmington's the spot. And it's been good, man. Like the people, like I was saying before, the people is what kind of gravitated us towards North Carolina again. Like not to say California is a horrible place because I have a lot of people that I love there too, but it just seems like the warmth of people in North Carolina, it's nice. You know, like people say hello. It's just like genuinely care. It's just, I don't know.
So I know it's way too far to say anything official, but could you see yourself spending the rest of your life in Wilmington?
I'm planning on it. I don't want to move again. I still haven't fully unpacked, but it's just, I'm so sick of moving, man. Like I felt like we moved a lot when we moved to California. Moving to California.
Well, because you lived in like 4 different houses in the short time you were in California, right?
Yeah, we hopped around a lot. And it was just like, I'm over it. I hate moving. It's one of my least favorite things to do. So yeah, I'm planning on being there. The house we're in now has an amazing yard for the kids, awesome neighborhood, great neighbors. I'm like, why would we ever want to leave this situation? Like, so for me, I'm good. Like, and if anything ever really made us need to move, I'm going to fight it because I don't want to go anywhere else. I'm happy where we're at. So yeah, Wilmington's a good spot. We got the beach. You know, there's some decent riding. There's some good riding, not too far. I can go to Daniel's place. Like, I can head to Greenville, ride JC. You know, a lot of my homies that still live in Greenville are there. So I like it here. I really do.
Is the unit gone?
It's still there.
Is it going away?
It might be. I'm kind of waiting. There's some stuff in the works that I might have to close it down, but I'm not really gonna say much until that happens. Like I've been trying to sell it.
But would you say it's closer than ever before to going away?
Yeah, it's much closer. I've been trying to sell it or lease it for like 5 years, and nothing would happen. I'd have some people that like pretend like they're serious, and then when it came down to putting anything in writing, it wouldn't happen. So like now we have something that's like in writing. I'm basically just waiting for them to sign like a lease, and if that happens, then like likely it'll go away.
Yeah. Did you? I mean, business wise, you probably did pretty well on owning that building, right? I only say that based on, I remember when you first opened it and being in the middle of nowhere. And last time I went there a couple months ago was like, oh, you turn at the car dealership and then you pass 4 buildings and then it's the unit.
It's grown a lot, and there's a bypass coming in that's going to help, I think, with traffic. When I built that building, so I bought the piece of land and I built the building. And when I literally remember going to the meeting with the guy that was doing the building, he said, well, what do you want? I was like, I want the biggest building possible so I can fit the most ramps in there. What I should have asked is like, what do I need to rent this out when I'm done with riding, or when I get a potential like client, someone that wants to rent it out? What do I need to do?
Yeah.
So there's no loading dock. The septic system only is ready for like 7 people. It's like, it's not conducive to like having a business in there. It's conducive to
a big storage unit, essentially.
Yeah, putting as many ramps in there as you can and having a good time. And we had that. But now it's getting to the point where I'm like, okay, like I'm not using as much as I'd like to. You know, like,
for those who don't know North Carolina geography, you're about 2 hours from the unit, right?
Yeah, in Wilmington, it's like 2 hours exactly.
So you're not exactly, it's not your daily session.
No, not at all.
How often are you getting out there?
Oh, jeez, man. I'd like to say once a week, but that's not even really happening. Like probably once every couple of weeks. I think when it gets closer to a contest, I make the effort to go out there more. But it's 2 hours each way, man. It's not exactly like a fun commute. You know, your back roads and stuff. And then it's 2 hours there. You get out of the car. You feel stiff. You're like trying to loosen up. You're trying to get ready for the session that you've been looking forward to for like the past 2 hours in the car.
Yeah.
And you get there and it's just like, oh, man. So you really got to be like self-motivated when you get there. Try to line up sessions with people that, you know, you can ride with.
Yeah.
But it's I mean, you're talking about 4 hours in a car, like there and back.
That sucks.
So yeah, it's tough. And then sometimes it's like, if I don't have a lot of time, it's like 2 hours there. I might ride for 3 hours and then 2 hours back. So I'm literally in the car longer. I can't complain. I have my own private skate park. Life could be worse.
Yeah, it's your own private skate park. Far though. You know what I mean? It's like,
it's a lot closer than when I was in California.
Yeah, you're right. But you're probably going there about the same amount of times.
I mean, hopefully not, but I've had a lot more sessions there since I moved. Like, so it's nice. But yeah, like, would I love that place to be in Wilmington? Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That thing it's almost one of those too good to be true type of things where it's like, this exists. Things like this shouldn't exist. We're not good enough people to have things like this.
Yeah, it's a pretty phenomenal place. If you haven't seen it, I'd Google Ryan Nyquist unit.
If anybody's listening to this, are you trying to get them to look at your penis online? Is that what that was?
Absolutely not.
If anybody's listening to this, I'm sure they know what it looks like. Not the
my
skate
penis?
park. Yeah. Maybe your
not.
penis. I don't know, man. You know, it's a weird world out there.
Yeah.
Are you done with mountain bikes?
For a while. So I'm not done because I'm still probably gonna be doing like some video stuff with Haro. But I've basically tried to like create a plan where I'm not gonna be competing on that. So that's going to take up a huge chunk of my time, like where I can spend it more on BMX. And like, to be honest, like the stuff I will be doing will likely be video stuff, where I can just kind of schedule it, where I can maybe just crank out like a few videos all at once and then be good with those responsibilities and then focus on BMX. Cause the hardest part is just hopping back and forth between the bikes. You know, there's some tricks that obviously cross over really well, but the bikes feel so different that, anytime I have to stop riding BMX for mountain bike, the second I go back to BMX, I'm starting over again. It just feels so foreign. So for the time being, with all the Olympic stuff going on, I'm done.
Yeah. Is that a positive, or are you bummed about that, or?
It's a positive. So I'm bummed about it because I really like that scene.
Yeah.
I like
There's
the
a lot of
people
good people, man. I hardly know any. I know a few guys, but like everybody's always been very welcoming and cool, and
it's very much so like that. And like I've created a lot of really great friendships through just being in that scene. And to be honest, like just itself, it's like, it's really laid back. It's like, I mean, the events are like in these beautiful mountain scenery places. Like, I mean, how would you not want to be involved in that? And then like half the time it's like people are just like cruising down the mountain and like taking a gondola up with your bike and then riding down a hill. Like that sounds awesome on every level.
I think that's why it's such a gigantic hobby worldwide.
Yeah. Yeah, so for that aspect, I'm a little bummed because I won't see these guys on the regular. I really enjoyed riding the courses. Like, they were fun. They were kind of terrifying, but like that in itself was awesome because it was just exhilarating. But I am looking forward to just concentrating on one bike.
I can't remember who told me this. It might have been you, but I don't think it was you. I was talking to somebody about the mountain bike thing, and they were like, man, there just aren't dirt jumping contests anymore. I like to ride dirt. This is what I have to do. I have to adapt to this bike because I want to ride big jumps. I either have to change my bike or I change what I ride, and I love riding dirt.
Yeah.
Competitively, you know? And
it's kind of true. I don't know if that was necessarily it for me. My mountain bike thing started because I lived in Santa Cruz and it was kind of a mecca for a lot of the riding. So when I was riding BMX there, I didn't even know, but I was riding with the heavy hitters,
the dudes, yeah,
like in the mountain bike world. And so like getting in with them and then riding with them on the regular, and then hopping on a mountain bike and realizing like, dude, this is a lot harder than riding BMX. Mainly because I was just so used to riding BMX after like 20 some years getting on a bike that was bigger wheels, longer wheelbase, like everything, it was just like I couldn't 360. I've told the story a million times, but like I literally could 360 the bike on like a box jump size jump. It wasn't anything crazy. It was just like I can't 360 this thing. It took me like 9 tries.
Under rotating? Is that what was happening?
No, I was like front tire up in the air on my back, like riding a bike with hydraulic brakes. So like I'm pulling like it's like a cable bike, like brake, but it's just sending me like total tomahawk like over the bars, and I was just like, what the fuck? Like why can't I do this trick that I can do? Like I literally could probably do it with my eyes closed on a BMX bike. And so that's what kind of hooked me. But I don't know. It's the mountain bike scene is really cool. I'm going to miss that part of it, but I don't know. Just like, I'm really looking forward to just like being comfortable on one bike. And I feel like all last year I was like borderline uncomfortable on any bike I was riding because I wasn't putting the time on either bike.
Well, yeah, it seems to me like you have 3 kids, you have a wife, you have a home, you've moved, you guys have a business. It seems like there's minimal time as is to spend riding bikes at all, and you try to balance that between 2 drastically different bikes. It seems like the results are going to be what they were. I think it's incredibly impressive that you did as well as you did in mountain bikes. You placed well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was spread ridiculously thin. Am I blown out? It sounds blown out.
Slightly, but it's okay.
I'll back up a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm getting super excited, man.
Yeah.
No, like I was spread really, really thin as far as like what I was trying to achieve. And to be honest, like probably 2 years ago, I can honestly say that I was way more excited about riding mountain bikes than I was about BMX because it was just so new, and I was motivated to see if I could do it. It was like a challenge. And I feel like throughout my career, I've always had these mini goals and challenges and stuff that I would do for myself. And that was a big one, was just like, can I even like make a dent in this world? Like, I know I could get on the bike, I'll throw a double bar spin, I'll 360 it, like, but do I have what it takes to like excel in it to the point where I can get in these high level events? Like they're called diamond events, but like, can I get in those events and then maintain the points to stay
hold your own, essentially?
Yeah, and
be one of the guys.
So I did that, and I was like, okay. And then like I ended up podium at joyriding, but like I was so focused on mountain bike that I made it happen because I wanted it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then this past year, I can honestly say I didn't want it as much. I felt like I went out there, I did what I went out there to do, and then I was kind of like teetering between these two worlds, like BMX and mountain bike, and I wasn't spending enough time on either of them to do well. So I was going to BMX contests like the World Cups and stuff and just doing really horrible. Like if in my standards, I was not riding to my potential.
In most standards, you're doing pretty horribly.
Yeah, I was, and I was I'm serious. Like even in the mountain bike world, like they invite like I can't like let's say 14 dudes. I was getting 12th. Like to me, I'm like, I still hold myself at a pretty high like standard, and that's to me it was unacceptable. Yeah. So I was doing horrible in both, and I think my brain was just kind of like I was kind of already exiting the mountain bike world mentally. So I was going to these events not 100% psyched. I was psyched to see the people. I was psyched to ride the course, but I didn't feel like sending myself over like 40-foot doubles.
Yeah. Those are big jumps, man.
They're massive.
Big jumps.
The lips, I try to post like whenever I'd go, I try to post a photo of me standing next to the lips because just to give it scale. And I'm not a tall guy, but I'm 5'6", and these things were double overhead height.
Yeah.
Sometimes more than that. It's just like, I think New Zealand had like a 13-foot tall lip. That's a vert ramp.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're literally riding up something that's as tall as a vert ramp, and then you're trying to go like distance
the
too.
other direction.
It's just, it was a whole different ball game. I love the challenge of it, but yeah, it just.
Do you think things would be different if BMX and the Olympics didn't pop up? Now you have this that you want to try to do.
I don't know. I mean, that's a good question because like I think that's a tough one. I don't know.
I mean, there's no right or wrong answer because you can't change it.
No. And it's basically what I feel. So I agree. Like it wouldn't be right or wrong. It would just be what I feel. And like I can honestly say, like if mentally I didn't shift towards the Olympics, I'd still be really psyched on mountain bike. You know? And if that's a right choice, career-wise, I have no idea, but I've always just kind of followed my heart, and that's what led me to mountain biking. Was like I really had a passion for it. Like I found this like newfound a sport, if you will. I guess it's totally different, but it was just like it was a close enough cousin to BMX that I could do all the stuff that I'd learned for years, but just on a different bike. And I still got excitement out of doing a truck driver over a 40-foot set of doubles.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is amazing because it's still just a truck driver, but I'm getting like the biggest rush and enjoyment out of doing over this big jump. So in some ways it kind of breathed life back into me because I was just, it wasn't the craziest tricks I was doing, but it was on a jump that I was like, I can't believe I did that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And a bike I wasn't even sure if I could do stuff on. So, but yeah, like, that's a big what if, but I think if everything stayed the same as it was 2 years ago and Olympics wasn't into it, yeah, like I might still be on the mountain bike. I might still be just like pushing it really hard in that. Because, I mean, let's be honest, like this is my 22nd year as a pro. Like stuff gets old. Like, and it's not just
pro. You can drink beer.
What?
Your pro career can drink beer. It's over 21.
Oh, that's true. Dang.
Cheers to that.
Cheers. But yeah, like, I mean, stuff gets kind of stagnant, you know? And so it's like when something like that creeps in, it's like, man, this is exciting. This is fresh. This is new. Like it seemed like
that honeymoon period. It's always new and exciting.
And it wasn't just that. It was like the people too. Like you're kind of going into a whole new scene. Like the first contest I went to, like I was nervous as fuck. Like I was so nervous.
Yeah.
Because it was like, I knew nobody there. Like think about it. Like you go to an event now and it's like, I've known most of these guys for a decade or more. And the people that I don't know is like, you know, maybe a couple years of knowing them, but it's still like you walk into an event, you see familiar faces. I didn't know who I was looking at, who I was looking for to sign up. I didn't know who the riders were. I didn't know who like the good guys were. The only guy that I knew of was Greg Watts, who I rode with in Santa Cruz, and Nikolai, because he used to ride BMX.
Yeah.
And everybody else was looking at me like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I'm trying to see if I can do this. Like, I don't know. It seems pretty cool. But it was just like, even that was like so fresh and just, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I'm kind of like rambling, but it was a good time for me to like kind of like take a small break and just like kind of be excited again, you know?
So are you going to be able to make it into the Olympics?
I think it's guaranteed. I heard. Is it not? I thought I saw a press release that said you're guaranteed to be in the Olympics.
Just you.
Maybe for coaching.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think if I was from Finland, Sweden, Germany. No, Germany has actually riders too. It's just 9 men and 9 women is pretty.
9 men, 9 women, 8 countries on each.
Yeah.
You know, one country sending 2. Japan's already in for both.
Yeah. So essentially 8 women.
Not to mention the USA is going to be in there, but the USA has a bunch of bad motherfuckers you got to ride against.
It's stacked.
Like,
let's start naming names.
Dennis,
Nick Bruce.
That's all.
That's it.
Justin's killing it.
Yep. Colton.
Colton's on vacation for a while.
Jake Leva, Jeremy Malat.
He's doing good, man.
Yeah, he is.
He's one of those guys too that I don't think he's fully applied himself yet. What little time he's spent on a BMX bike in his life to what he can do on one is incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
I think there's some details to iron out, but I think he has a lot of potential that's kind of he's placing fourth in these big events without unlocking his full potential, I feel like.
I mean, I don't know. I know Instagram is one thing, but like watching his clips on there, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much all the guys too, but like there's a lot of heavy heat out there in the world of freestyle in the US. So
but the one thing I can say, knowing you as long as I've known you and knowing all these guys pretty well, I feel like, and they'll probably say otherwise, of course they will, but knowing them, I kind of question how the competitive drive in a lot of them. I think a lot of these guys haven't made sacrifices. I think a lot of these guys just happen to get good at bike riding and show up and do well at the events. But I mean, I feel like Nick makes sacrifices, but I also question what he has to ride at home. I think you take Nick Bruce and you put him in like a legit training facility regularly. You know, you put the dude on steroids, not literally.
Ivan Drago. But the American version.
Yeah, but the American version that's not on drugs. And like a lot of these guys, like Colton Walker is in like 30-something overall right now. Colton Walker is far better than that.
Yeah.
But he's hanging out in the mountains in Wisconsin instead of riding goddamn Woodward every day. Like,
well, and that's.
What I'm getting at here is how competitive are you? And I know you're very competitive. I've seen you sitting on the deck with that stereotypical like death stare where everybody makes fun of you for it.
Yeah,
but it's real.
true.
It's a real thing. It's a real emotion. You have, assuming that hasn't died out with your age, if you still have that motherfucker inside you, I'm not counting you out.
No, it's well, the honest truth is there are a lot of people that are counting me out, and it's like, okay, well, that's fine. Like, I get it. Like, I'm 39. I'll be 41 at the Olympics.
Pretty embarrassing.
You know, not embarrassing, but it's just like it's
no. It's pretty embarrassing.
Okay, thanks. Sorry. Thanks. Wait, I said thanks. Thanks for the name.
Just embarrassing that you're saying you're old compared to Bestwick.
What, Bestwick's 40?
Bestwick is 71.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
We're drinking beer.
Rockstar beer. Yeah, it's a tall order, man. Like it's going to be a tall order to, like,
Shout out to Sebastian Keep.
Yeah. It's when you think of all the dudes that you have to beat. And that's legit. Like, you have to go to like 4 or 5. Well, no, sorry, like it's probably like about 10 comps, and you have to be consistently on top.
Yeah.
In order to make it for the US.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's going to be really, really tough. Do I still believe that I can do it? Yes, I do. And that's based upon the fact that, like, my riding style has always been a little bit different from everybody else's.
Yes.
I feel like my tricks will stand out a little bit. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of work to do to get a lot of those tricks back.
Yeah.
To where I'm comfortable doing them. Like, I can go to a box and throw them in that heat of the moment, and at this point I feel like I'm 50-50. Yeah. You know, so I need to be higher than that. I need to go back to where I'm like 90%. I'm going to pull this stuff.
You should shoot for 100.
100 would be great. 100 would be great. I'd take 75 at this point. but it's just, like it's going to be a lot of work. So do I have that competitive edge? Yeah, I still feel it. Like, when I'm at the event and stuff, I want to do well. I want to plan a run that, like, I pull, and I want to make it to the finals, and I want to, like, have a result that I'm, like, really proud of.
Like, when you go out there and you don't make it out of the first round.
Oh, it sucks.
Are you pissed?
It sucks.
Okay.
It sucks because I've prided myself to be a competitor. Like, that's what I've always enjoyed, is to go out and test myself.
Yeah.
In that one moment where someone goes, drop in now. Like, do you have what it takes, the consistency, the nerves, all that stuff? Like, do you have what it takes to do it right then and there? And I've always found that to be a challenge. You know, like, that's, to me, one of the biggest challenges. Like, you know, no offense against video riders, but when you have a bunch of tries, it's like, well, yeah, like, I can redo. Like, if it's a post on Instagram, like, I can do that all day long and get one clip and post it, and it just looks like I'm the man. But when you're at a competition, it's like, can you do it right now? And to me, that was the ultimate challenge of doing that. And so I still want to do that. I still want to be that guy that can pull it off when it matters. I haven't been that guy lately. And so I need to re-up on that, and I need to do it. And there's a want for it too. I'll be honest, the amount of work it's going to take is scary. Like, it's scary, and it's probably more serious than I've ever had to be about it. Like, ever. You know, like, I've never been the guy that's, like, worked out or been in the gym or looked at nutrition or anything like that. And I'm looking at all that stuff now, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm setting myself up for success. But that's just terrifying to me, because the amount of time I have on my plate to actually dedicate to it is very small.
And realistically, compared to a lot of the other guys, you probably need more time based on being older, based on
recovery time, stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a real thing. The other side of that I truly believe, and I'm not trying to, like, make it as a cop-out, but, like, I feel like I need to do the work to get up to that par, but I think once I get there, I don't need to invest 6 hours at the park every day. I just don't. I feel like I have a base that I'm comfortable with, and as long as I can get my confidence back, I can utilize the time that I have, which realistically is maybe, like, a couple hours a day.
Yeah.
And if I go out there and utilize that time, then I'm okay.
If you make them count, especially a lot of the sessions you'll be having will be probably just you, maybe you and one other person.
Yeah.
You can do some serious riding in 2 hours.
Yeah. And right now it's like I'm spending, I mean, it's not a lot. Granted, I haven't really been riding much because of my ankle, but, like, I'm spending less time because I don't have many people to ride with. It's like my schedule is like, well, I'm on the spur, and then it's like, oh, it's 2:30. I think I'd like to ride now.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, most people are either working or, like, I mean, they can't just make their way to my house and ride there and then. So it's hard to plan sessions. But, dude, I'm ready to start sending, like, 7 double bars again, and, like, you know, like, everything that I'm doing double bar spin, I should be doing triple, like, you know, or quad, whatever it is. But, like, that kind of stuff, like, I'm ready to take that next leap. I just need to build up that base foundation that, like, I'm already comfortable doing tricks like double trucks and flip bars and all this stuff. Like, but I need to be like ridiculously comfortable with that, and then get the stuff that I'm uncomfortable with now.
Be able to do those when you fuck up something bigger.
Yeah,
when something goes wrong.
I just need to build that foundation back up, and I don't think that's going to take a lot of time. Honestly, I feel like if I had a week of solid sessions, I would be there.
Yeah,
that's honest truth. Is like I feel like if I was just like had that week of like riding just on this. So, and do you
think you can accomplish this riding alone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I have to.
Yeah.
I mean, and the reality of it is like, I'm not going to have a lot of people there to ride with unless like I set something up. And I've thought about doing like, kind of creating like a small atmosphere like we had in Greenville, on a very small scale. Cause Greenville was like a very big scale. Almost too much. It's crazy. I mean, there's so many different scenes in Greenville. It was insane. But like on a very small scale, like having like 4 or 5 dudes that are there to literally just train.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're going to have people to ride with. I don't know if that's going to happen. So like past 9 years, I've been just, finding people to ride with and getting their stoke to get me stoked, which is them trying to 360 a box.
Yeah.
And being excited about it, and then
finding
nervous,
motivation, not necessarily what they're doing, but the idea of
plugging into their nervous energy, their excitement, like them feeling that excitement of pulling something that they were scared about, and me plugging into that and applying it to what I'm doing. And I've gotten very good at that, whether it be riding with people that are like 14 or people that are like literally like 50. It's like, doesn't matter.
Shout out to Vince.
Is there. Vince, man, he kills it. He pumps me up. Like, imagine being 50, I can't remember, like 52, 50 years old and trying bar spins and just taking it, dude. Like slamming, like, and then getting back up and trying and finally pulling. Like, that pumped me up. Like, I love riding with that. I still love riding.
That's badass. That's badass.
Yeah. So Vince Torres, you're the man. But that's what I have to tap into, and like, it's taken a while for me to like really get that. And I was talking to Daniel about that earlier. It's like, yeah, like it'd be awesome to be riding with people that are sending this stuff, but like, I don't feel like I absolutely need that. Would I like to have that every once in a while? Yeah. And I can make trips to Daniel's to ride with him and like the other guys, or like invite people to Wilmington if I have a little setup. Like, it's going to take a lot more effort to do this stuff than what I put in the past.
Yeah.
Everything's always been there for me, or I've maintained because I just was like, okay, like I know I can go to the local park and I can throw a 7, I can get ready, and then I go to the contest and I do the work there. Yeah. But this is now different. It's not going to work that way. Yeah. I have to be showing up to the contest with everything ready to go. Yeah. So yeah, long story short, like in my heart, I believe I can do it, but I know it's going to take like a fuckload of work.
Worst case scenario, you need to go down in a blaze of glory and not go down fucking sitting at home on your couch, not out there trying it.
Yeah, and I don't want to live with regret of like going like, oh man, like it's just like it's it wouldn't have. It was a lot of work. I don't think it was gonna work. I just but like I can live with the fact of like, hey man, I tried. Like, had it been 10 years earlier, like I would have had a much better shot. But like it's just the way it is. Like, I can't change that. So I'm going to work with what I have and do it. But like, I just think that, I don't know, like most things in my career, if I've set my mind to it or like put importance to it, then it usually works out okay. This one's a lot different, but
this is a big one, man.
It is, man. But it's like, okay, well then that's so be it. Like, I'm definitely closer to the end of my career than I am the beginning. So knowing all this, it's like I know everything, that's all the factors, things that are working with me, work against me. It's I'm not going into it blind. So as long as I kind of know that and I can stay serious about the work it's going to take, then like I feel like I do have a chance. But I've also had like a bit of a hiatus from when I was on the mountain bike stuff and even just park stuff in general. Like for a while I was riding the Vans contests and doing that kind of stuff, and those were really fun. I was enjoying that, but like I wasn't doing the feast events, and like Dew Tour was gone, so I was really like more of a concrete rider than I was like a wooden park rider. Yeah. So I've been like on a little hiatus. Daniel likes to say that I was retired for like 10 years and now I decided to come out of retirement. But I mean, it's just, ramps have always been something I really enjoyed. Yeah. Wooden ramps anyways. It's just like, I don't know. I feel at home there.
Yeah. So we talk about spreading yourself thin and not having that much time and trying to take all this on, but you're also coaching the girls. Mm-hmm. One more responsibility for you.
It is a responsibility, but I feel like that one ties in pretty well because I'm there at the event. It doesn't affect my schedule. Yeah. Ultimately, I'm talking about the same course that I'm riding. I'm riding the course on the men's side. So me giving them input, I feel like that makes me a better coach. I don't feel like it's taking too much away from what I'm doing right now.
So when you go out to like, you guys are just at Woodward East doing a camp.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get to spend some time on your bike out there?
So we just had a camp at Woodward East, and I would have, but my ankle was hurt.
Okay.
So I get like, if I had been healthy, like I was actually looking forward to that, and then I sprained my ankle. I was like, I hope it's ready for all that because I'd love to ride, and also like it helps for them to see like how to break down a trick too. So if they're learning like a trick like a nothing, I can like physically show them. Whereas opposed like when I was there this time, I had to like kind of talk my way through it. Yeah. Which with some people that works great. With other people, it's like I'm like a visual learner, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like if I'm at a camp, I'm riding with them. Like,
so what are you doing? Like, what are you gonna do to whip these girls into shape and make them the best they can be?
Just, I mean, some of them I honestly don't have to do a lot. I think that the drive is there, the want is there, and that's amazing because I'm going to see the most progression out of them. Yeah. I'm going to see the most growth out of them because, I mean, it's just, you see the passion. When there's passion behind something, it's awesome.
That can't be taught. You can't teach passion.
No. Like it comes down to like, do you want to be in the Olympics?
Yeah.
Like, do you want to learn these tricks to make you a better rider? You know? And so when you see that, it's amazing. And it's like a night and day difference from someone that's just like not there and doesn't have the passion. They might want to learn tricks, but the passion isn't there. Yeah. So when you see that, when you counter that, it's amazing because, you know, I can instill like years of experience, like the mistakes I've made, the tricks I've learned, to pulling tricks, like crashy, whatever it is, like I can literally throw that out on the table and they just soak it up like a sponge.
Yeah.
So like when you see that, it's awesome. For the ones that don't necessarily see it, because let's be honest, like freestyle hasn't been very organized. It hasn't been, there's always been the occasional rider that's very serious about like, you know, the working out, like the training, all that stuff. But generally it's been like, it's very much like party scene, ride, do the stuff on the side, ride. It's just like, now it's, if you're an Olympic hopeful, it's going to get very serious.
Yeah.
So that's been a big adjustment too, is like, hey, like you need to be at home and doing this riding and all this stuff. So long story short, I feel like you kind of have to make a full like adjustment. If you're not fully 100% into learning the tricks it takes to like go out there and send it, or just send it in general and not being scared to crash, like it's going to be a longer road than the person that's just like, fuck it, let's do it, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. It definitely seems like it isn't for everybody, and it's okay if the Olympics aren't for you because there are other things to do. But if you do want to take it seriously, you need to go all in. Yeah. I don't think I foresee anybody out there on the men's side for sure. The women's side's a bit newer, so it's hard to say with that. But with the men's side, there isn't going to be anybody in there that end up there by accident.
Yeah, the whole 9 men going, or 9 women going too, like it's crazy in that sense. On the men's side, it's even more crazy because the talent pool is so deep. So you could literally have the number 4 guy in the world not go to the Olympics because of the selection process and being like
number 3 guy in the world.
Yeah. I mean, it's
literally the number 1 country is going to send 2 people.
Yeah.
Like everybody else is sending 1. Yeah. You could be the 3rd best rider in the world.
You could be the 2nd best rider in the world. If you're from a country that doesn't like, well, I guess it'd be really hard to do that, but like, it's to me, it's absurd because it's like, man, like you're not going to have a full representation of all the talent in the sport.
No. And I guess you get what you get, and hopefully that changes in the future.
Yeah. I think we're all just like vying for it to be in there, have an amazing show that then 2024, it's like, oh, well, instead of 9, we're going to give you 24 riders, which then it's like, oh man, then you can have like a way bigger field.
You know,
like,
one thing I find kind of strange in all of this is the first time through my time in BMX that I've really seen the team aspect stressed. Team USA, you know, we're all in this together. I remember, you weren't there, but I was at USA Cycling headquarters a few months back with all the riders.
Colorado.
Yeah, in Colorado. And they showed some motivational movie to everybody about like a baseball or a softball player that let the pinch hitter hit for her so they could win because it was for the greater
Feel
team.
Good, Hallmark movie.
No, but it was one of those like she gave up her moment of glory so the team could win or whatever. It's weird that they're pushing this in BMX when teammates, Team USA, whatever your team is, and like you're based on the amount of people that are going, these are your biggest competitors.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to take this seriously, it's in your best interest for this guy you're supposed to be riding with every day to do poorly.
Yeah, well, it is, but it also isn't, because so this is where a lot of
you mean just so they qualify the country?
Yeah. So like the misconceptions at the Olympics is like you're always riding for yourself. And you are, but it's a very small part of that at first. So you have to qualify your country. So at first it is very much a team aspect of, like I need this other guy from the US to do well. So we get 2 basically points from, not 2 points, two, what do you call it? Like placings from that contest to qualify for your country. You want your country to basically be on top so you can have, in this case, it's 2 riders. You have the best chance of having 2 riders. So it is still a team aspect until it gets to the selection process. So
and that's when you start cutting brake lines and shit.
And it kind of runs in parallels, because like obviously you want, like in the most ideal world, you'd be getting first to every single thing, and then when your country qualifies too, you're one of those 2 riders because you've gotten first place at every single contest, But it is also weird because it is such a team thing.
Yeah.
I come from an era where we started out no jerseys. We went into like heavily jerseyed, like Haro jerseys. People had like, Huffy riders had like all this stuff, Schwinn, like there was jerseys, and that got shunned, right? So there's no more jerseys. It's weird now seeing this next generation that had zero experience with that, maybe not even like have any kind of negative thing toward jerseys at all. Like we handed out Team USA shirts. They were black. It's really simple. And it was just like, hey, you guys don't have to wear this, but we're giving this. Dude, people were. They were excited.
Yeah, it was funny. I was talking to Bart De Jong. What's Bart's job? Head of freestyle, DUCI, something like that.
Yep.
And I know Bart has kind of been speaking on behalf of BMX, and he went into a lot of these meetings and was like, I don't care what you say, you can't make these guys wear jerseys. If you want freestyle BMX in the Olympics, no jerseys, no jersey rule. You cannot make them do this. And really went to bat hard for it. And then showed up in China, and all these fucking riders are wearing jerseys because they want to.
Yeah. I mean, like, well, that's freestyle, right? Like, like give them the choice, like it might work out. But yeah, I mean, like for the longest time, it was engraved like jerseys are bad. They're bad. You can't wear jerseys. Jerseys are just horrible. It's not freestyle.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
But it's like, but it's crazy to me to see them like want to do it, because I'm like, okay, this is a change into the guard then, because that whole entire generation that was like jerseys are bad are now gone, and these kids that want to be a part of something, like they want to be a part of Team USA, whether because of perks or they just want to belong. I'm like, that's kind of cool. Like I like seeing things change because it naturally changed that way. You know, like if freestyle remained the same forever, it would just be stagnant. I think it'd be boring. I like seeing change. So the fact that this is
how can you ever change your goddamn bike then? You got those 4-piece bars and front brakes.
I went to 2-piece for a while. I started out without front brake. I got front brake. My rate of change is much longer. Like than everybody. Some people change every 6 months. I'm like every 6 years I might make a change.
That's pretty generous.
Yeah,
probably 10 to 15.
I mean, my bars at one point were super wide, probably at 26, and now they're down to 25 and a half. So that's a change.
That's okay, I guess.
Yeah.
What were we talking about before I interrupted you?
Jerseys and how bad they are and how good they are. Yeah, I don't know. It's cool to see it for me, like having younger riders come up and want to wear a jersey because they're psyched on what they're doing. To me, that's organic. It's authentic. Nobody's forcing it. And we had a meeting about it for Team USA for like the Worlds. It was like, okay, well, we're going to put in the agreement that they wear the jersey. And I was like, hey, like, I just don't feel like it's a forced thing. Like, I think maybe once it gets more serious, like 2019 at the Worlds where we're leading into the Olympics and it's a big deal. Yeah. And if people are getting support, then you can like have that as like an exchange for like Team USA is supporting you, whether it be with tickets or like a salary or whatever it is. Then we ask you to wear the jersey, and that's a trade-off.
Yeah, you can't be like fly yourself out here and wear this jersey.
Yeah, but if you want to, like, cool. If that like some people are like, are very much like want to be a part of it. Like, so it's like, dude, do it then. Like, if that's what you feel, but like, again, it's freestyle. Like, just do whatever it is you want to do, and that's going to keep this authentic.
As long as it's not a drug that is illegal according to the UCI.
Exactly. Don't do that.
It's a strange world we're living in, man.
It's a rapidly changing world right now.
Fucking world.
It's a rapidly changing one, which is it's hard to keep up with all the stuff. Honestly, it is. But it's also a very exciting time for freestyle.
Yeah.
It is, and I'm happy to be along on the ride in whatever position I am in. But it's like, for me, it's cool, man. This is like as far as sports go, this is the highest level that we're going to get to.
I personally feel like the Olympics aren't going to. I don't think they can have a negative effect on freestyle, simply because BMX I think is pretty strong, and there's enough other things going on. If you're not into this style of riding, there's still a million things for you to do.
Yeah.
But I've heard from a handful of people, just like I interviewed Justin Cosman the other day, and Cosman was even saying like, and he's more knowledgeable about snowboarding than I am, and he's like, oh, well, look what it did to snowboarding. Made snowboarding lame. Snowboarding's not cool anymore.
I thought snowboarding's still pretty cool.
Yeah, but you're distant.
So it's not cool anymore with the core riders?
He had some good points. I'm not even going to try to quote him because I might be, but he's just saying it was impossible to represent what it actually is through what they did. It was just kind of weird.
Well, yeah. Anytime you put something on a stage that big, so I agree with him. Anytime you put something on a stage that big, there's so much logistics, rules, regulations. It's not going to be a true representation of what the sport is because they're not going to go to the woods and film, at Caddy or Posh and show what it is. Like you might get like a program like that, but not for the Olympics. It's not going to happen. So our best bet is to try to bring it to the masses and use it as a tool to get kids on bikes. It's not going to be a true representation of what may be out there. But if you get them on a bike and you get them searching on Google, they may come across a Larry Edgar. They may come across like Devin Smiley. And they may, or a flatline guy. It's like they may come across somebody that all of a sudden they're like, I like this part of it. And then they challenge. To me, this is like, it's just a doorway that opens for someone to discover something that we all love.
I agree with you entirely.
Yeah.
But another thing I've looked into as well is I've reached out to a few people in the race industry and was kind of like, hey, how did this affect you guys when you guys were first in the Olympics? Mm-hmm. And I've talked to a couple guys at companies that were like, yeah, we kind of went all in on marketing and that didn't do shit for us. Mm-hmm. According to them, it didn't get that many more people on bikes. Obviously, I'm talking about in the United States. I think it's been big for some countries who would have a rider win. Mariana Pajón in Colombia, Maris Stromberg's in Latvia, I believe. I think that was big for those guys. But in the States, people were just saying, it just didn't really do much for us. I think a lot of people are kind of looking at it in freestyle as this is going to be some big saving grace. And based on our closest neighbor that's been in there, didn't really do much for him industry-wise. Mm-hmm. I don't know. What do you think about all that?
I don't know. To me, there's a lot of opportunities that could come about. The Olympics hold clout. Like those rings, when you see them, it's like, whoa, okay. Like it just does. Like because it's the Olympics. I think that it could do a lot for getting bikes into skate parks, like the municipalities. When it's like we're something involved in the Olympics, we're now, unfortunately, it's like we're legit. Like I know we've been in X Games and all these other things, but like X Games aren't the Olympics. Yeah. I mean, like it's just a fact. Like X Games are cool, and the name of X Games rings a tune, but the Olympics are like a level professional that X Games isn't. Which one's better? I have no idea. It doesn't matter. But
it's not about which one's better. Yeah, it's just different.
But it's just when you talk about rings, it's like when you're dealing with stuff on the city level, the rings are probably going to weigh more than the X Games.
Yeah, absolutely.
If someone goes in there and is like, "Hi, I'm an Olympic gold medalist for freestyle last year," or "Hi, I'm an X Games gold medalist," which one do you think they're going to pay more attention to? It's the Olympic gold medalist.
The one that's more attractive.
Maybe.
That's kind of how the world works.
Yeah. So for me, I'm like, okay, if someone was able to, and granted, this all comes down to organizations, people that really want to take those opportunities. If we just sit back and do nothing, then nothing is going to change. So if you want something to change and you have this huge wave of something that's coming, it's an opportunity. So if you're really passionate about getting bikes into parks, then jump in and get involved. Like start a program, get up with like USA Cycling or USA BMX Freestyle or whatever, and start something happening.
They don't do anything. USA BMX Freestyle, they don't do anything.
But right now it's just like, there's not much to do, right? It's like we're not.
It's stuff to do. It's these events that are supposed to be happening that just aren't happening, and anyway.
Yeah, but my thing is like there are opportunities out there, and it's like if nothing is done, then nothing happens. So I don't know how that relates to the race world, but I do see potential for things to get improved. You know, and whether that's like one skate park lets bikes in that didn't before, well then that's progress. I would love to see on a bigger scale than that. I don't know what's realistic. Like I said, this is a very exciting time, but crazy time too. So we're all kind of scrambling to get information half the time and figure out what's going on because it was such a sprint. It was like 2.5 years out. We were announced for the Olympics.
That's insane.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm proud of where we're at. Like I think compared to skateboarding, we're doing a really great job.
I'm so out of the loop with that. Are they behind?
I just hear bad stuff. I can't even give you examples. I just hear that they're not organized like we are.
Well, they had to kind of build their own governing body, correct? BMX can fall under the UCI, and there's already USA Cycling and whatnot. Skateboarding has to create all this, right?
They do. And so like there's many different arguments that they're doing things the correct way. It might take longer, but it's correct. I just, for me, it's like, if we're going to be in there, like, I want to be organized. And the fact that we had an organization like UCI to be a part of that has like all the ins, and not just that, but they were like, we don't know about your sport. Tell us about your sport.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I was like, thank you for actually wanting to listen to somebody that like knows about the sport.
They certainly haven't fucked shit up yet.
No.
And they deserve credit for that, because a lot of people are so anti-UCI, and the people that have worked with them in any capacity will say that. You know what I mean? Everybody's gonna have their issues and their bumps in the road, but you can't go in there and be like, these guys are trying to change the sport and screw everything up. It's like they've given everybody opportunities to speak up. They've had Bart in there, whether you think he's the right guy or not. He is a dude that knows freestyle. They have elected people like yourself, like Nina, the judges that they're bringing in who still have a voice there. Guys like Van Homan, guys like Brian Kaczynski. Like, there are people involved here that I'm proud. I'm proud to have you speak for BMX. I'm proud to have Van in there speaking for BMX. There's a lot of guys that are in there that if you want to hate on the UCI, you can't just be like, oh, it's big and corporate. It's like these people all have a voice in there.
Yeah, they've included a lot of people that have a very good and strong opinion on stuff to try to steer it in the right direction. I just keep going back to the Worlds last year. It was the first contest that the UCI did in freestyle, and it went off really well, I thought. Like,
that was a great event.
It was organized. We had schedules. We had times. Everything was released well beforehand.
Dude, they killed it logistically.
Yeah.
Bus left on time every day.
Yeah.
Hotel
was nice. Plenty of shuttles. It was just, it was nicely done. And so I'm like, okay, if that was their first like attempt at doing an event in freestyle, like, I thought they killed it.
Yeah.
There's always stuff you can improve upon. I'm not the one to nitpick, because you're never going to have the perfect event and things are going to go wrong. I think we had like a rain delay, but they adjusted the schedule really quick and made it work. It was just like, there wasn't any major hiccups, and it seemed like if there was, they handled it. Like,
they were hiccups, but they were hiccups with a plan, if that makes sense, where it's like, if this happens, we do blank, and they executed it properly.
Yeah. So I'm okay with all that. I just, to me, I haven't run into any bad experiences with it. And I've been in touch since day one. Like, honestly, I made cold calls. I was just like, hey, this needs to be done right. We don't have a lot of time. Just, if you have any questions, please ask someone that knows. You can lean on me. Here's my information. But it was just like, from day one, it was nothing but positive. And so to me, I'm like, okay, we're in good hands. Like, they're listening to us. They're not like forcing our hand to do anything we don't want to do. This is freestyle. It's still freestyle.
Well, that could mirror any aspect of life. Shit just gets dangerous when people don't know that much.
When they pretend
and want to act like they do.
Oh, that kills me.
You can't bullshit your way through this. You have to get the right people in there.
It kills me.
That's
like, I mean, and I've come across people like that, and it's just like, it's horrible.
Name some names.
Dude. Joe, Johnny, John.
He's
Joe?
a real piece of shit.
Yeah, dude. But it's just like, they're opportunistic, and they try to grasp onto stuff that's just like, you don't really give a shit then.
Yeah.
Like, you're not passionate about the sport if you're just trying to get in there and make a buck. Like, dude, listen, like, the best way to make $1 million in bikes is to start with 2.
Not true.
Yeah.
Start with 3.
You can start with 3. Yeah,
there you go.
That's right. But it's like, it's not something you're going to get rich off of, It's like, just, so let's make it good for everybody and try to, in hopes that it grows into something, One of the things that always struck me was like, when we first got announced that we were going to be in the Olympics, there was a lot of people would be like, Olympics, oh, this is crazy. It's going to ruin the sport. It's going to make it super authentic. I was like, some people were not around for it, but like, X Games.
Same shit. Yep.
X Games was the exact same thing under a different name.
Yep.
Oh my God, ESPN, what do they have to do with freestyle? Why are they getting involved? It's going to ruin the sport. We just sold out. Blah, blah, blah.
I love when you say things like that, you give them so much credibility and you put them over. Where it's just like, if I said I didn't care what somebody said, but then kept harping on it. You know what I mean? It's like, it clearly is eating at you. Like, when people want to say that, it's like, look, it's going to ruin the sport. It's like, you're saying the Olympics are powerful enough to ruin BMX?
No.
Like, nothing can fucking ruin BMX.
No, you're still going to be able to go and do your, like, whatever you want to do, whether it's a skate park or go to the plaza or go in the woods and build jumps. It's like, nothing is going to change for you. There's not going to be a guy that's going to drug test you in the woods.
Yeah.
Like that. If that's what you think is going to happen, you're very, very wrong.
Yeah. Your whole life's got to be pretty fucked up. If that's the way you're looking at
to me, I was just like, okay. So like when we talk about the X Games, I was like, that was arguably one of the best things that happened for the sport.
Yeah.
It influenced a bunch of money. People were getting paid to do what they love.
Yep.
It was just like, it brought it to a whole new audience. Bike companies were selling bikes like crazy. It was a very good time for BMX. It just was. Like, our industry was growing exponentially to where, like, I know with Haro, it was like you couldn't keep bikes in the warehouse. They were gone.
Yeah.
So it's just like when and that's what we need in BMX again. We need that influx of people like wanting to be on bikes, getting for whatever reason, whether they want to ride down the road.
Put your goddamn iPad down and go ride your fucking bike.
Yeah, it's just it's just we need more. I don't know. I just feel like we need more positivity. Yeah. BMX freestyle is it's such a small slice of the pie when you look at the bike world. It's like a sliver of it, and it's just like if we were all to like just work. This sounds so hippie-ish, but like just work together, like. Stop looking at like what you have and protect it. Like, just, dude, like work with people.
You keep talking like this, you're gonna get drug tested.
I know, seriously, but it's just like to me, I'm just like, God, like it just baffles me some of the stuff that I think is kind of common sense. Where I'm like, why wouldn't you work with this guy on that, or like why wouldn't you like be a part of this to try to help grow it? Like, it's not just about your brand or about what they can do for you. It's like the greater good. Sometimes like you have to invest in that, and it will pay back. And the bigger scale, but like you have to go in and like invest yourself for the greater good. Like I haven't been paid working with UCI at all. Like I do that because I love the sport and I want this Olympics to be the best thing possible.
Have you ever gotten paid to ride BMX?
Yeah.
So is that just because that's why you do it for money?
Fucking awesome.
That's fair.
That's questionable.
Couple random questions for you. Mm-hmm. Who is the highest paying sponsor you've ever had for 1 year, like a 1 year deal? Not, or it lasted longer, but I mean, not like, I've been on Haro for 50 years, but like.
Yeah. Like a 1 year contract.
Just in anything that came through.
It's probably the whole action figure thing.
Really? No
yeah.
Shit, really?
I got the biggest check I've ever gotten.
Was that Flick Tricks or?
Yeah.
Was that? Okay.
No, Jack's Toys or Jack's something, I can't remember, but
was it like a royalty thing based on how many they sold?
Yeah, it was royalty. So I remember I didn't have like a sticker on the helmet, so it wasn't like a sponsor, but that was by far the biggest check I ever got.
That was more than doing the video game.
Oh yeah.
No shit.
Yeah. Those things were everywhere, dude. They were everywhere, and they were selling out like crazy.
Did everybody do really well off of that?
Yeah. I mean, like I think Dave definitely did the best. You want to hear a crazy story about that?
Sure.
So, Haro bikes had so we Dave and I had our signature bikes in there. We had action figures. We had all this stuff, right? And Haro also had bikes that they did. Like pretty much every brand that had a bike, they were just like, give us all you got. Like because they were selling like crazy. They were just like, give us more variety. Give us Sunday, give us your thing. Oh, you have a bike company, send us your stuff. Like, and
there was some bullshit bikes coming out in finger bike form. It was kind of weird.
But it was like people were just buying it like crazy. They were just collecting the sets, all this stuff. So Haro had their bikes too, and on the front of the Haro one was Dave doing a tuck no-hander, right? Like the iconic tuck no-hander, and so. Those things sold like crazy. They probably sold like thousands, hundreds of thousands. I don't know. But like in a roundabout way, and I don't know the details of this, but they found out that they didn't have the rights to use Dave's image on the Haro package.
Okay. The action figure company didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just for those bikes, because they weren't doing action figures through Haro, it was just for like the Haro Blammo, Mira, Nyquist, or whatever. Those were all with Dave doing a no-hander on the front of the package.
Okay.
They didn't have the rights to advertise Dave for that, so they owed Dave royalties for every Haro bike that was sold.
Oh, wow.
In addition to paying Haro royalties for every Haro bike that was sold. So we went to Dave, was like, hey man, we fucked up.
Is this when they bought him the car?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep telling the story.
Yeah, thanks for the spoiler alert though. That was good.
Yeah.
So they went to Dave and
they bought him a car.
They basically owed Dave like 6 figures.
Yeah.
It was a huge amount, and they're like, that we can't do it. So what can we do to make this right? We need you to sign off on this, but we need to do something. And Dave was like, buy me a Celine Mustang. Dave was a huge like Mustang guy. Celine is like the gnarly, one of the gnarliest things you can do to like a Mustang. And he wanted like a Steve Celine Mustang.
Because I think that's a 6-figure car.
I feel like it's 60 or 80. I don't know. It's pretty high up there though. And so this is where it gets funny. So he's like, all right, yeah. And they're like, so Mustang? He's like, yep, cool. So Steve Saleen Mustangs only come in yellow. Dave's like, I want it black. I need a black one. And they're like, well, he only does yellow ones. Like, paint it. So they painted a Steve Saleen yellow Mustang black. I remember like seeing this thing. I was like, "Jesus, this thing's insane!" Like it's just like more horsepower than you than I need. You know, like he needed more horsepower. But like you open up the door, you open the glove compartment, you can see yellow, like where they didn't.
Oh no way!
Yeah, like I mean, you think about it. They had to like strip everything off of that car, paint it black, put it back on.
That's crazy. So they couldn't get one in raw and just paint it black.
No,
wow.
No, yeah. So, but I mean, that's the amount of money that we're talking. Like it was just huge deals, and the stuff that was even sold, it was just like, man. So yeah, like that by far was probably the biggest deal I've had. Butterfinger was pretty nice.
How many years were you with them? Was that just one?
No, that was like multi-years. I feel like that was like 2 or 3 years.
Is that like a 6-figure deal?
Oh God, I honestly don't remember the numbers. It was if it wasn't, it was close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. They make a good candy.
Yeah, it was cool.
You should try to get back on.
Man.
Just flow.
They would send me so many candy bars, dude. Like I don't know if you remember the Beast bars back then.
No.
They were like the size of my forearm. Like they were huge.
I mainly only eat like health food and stuff.
True. So, yeah. Cheers.
Yeah. Okay, what are my other good questions here?
Yeah, bring it on.
What are some of your favorite things about me?
You're handsome.
Yeah.
Like abnormally handsome for like just me talking about another man. But yeah, like your sense of humor. I like the fact that you can like stealthily say really random crazy stuff in like group settings. Like I don't know. Like you're just really good at like sneaking in these like information that nobody else hears except for like myself. And I'm like, how did you just say that to the waitress? And she like just didn't even hear it. Like you can say like something like really absurd, like I like getting head.
I do.
I know. Most people do. But like you say it to the waitress and she just doesn't. Yeah.
Nice.
It's great.
Yeah.
But like you say it to the waitress and she just doesn't hear it. And I'm like, how did you not hear that part of the conversation? You're like, yeah, I'd like the edamame and maybe a bowl of miso soup. I love getting head. And she'd be like, okay, miso and edamame. Great. I'll be right back. And I'm like, how do you do that?
You're making all this shit up.
No.
We have a bonus question from Mr. Daniel Dares, 1999 X Games 9th place idiot from Venezuela.
This better be good.
All right, Daniel. In English, please.
Thank you for the introduction.
English, please.
I was not around in 1999.
English now.
So, earlier in the car, we were talking about sponsorships and stuff. Mm-hmm. The day that you stop being poor and you're like start making all this money through BMX. Obviously, there's difference between sponsorships back in the early 2000s, late 90s, to what it is now. What do you think? Why was it so big then? And why do you think it? I don't want to say crash, but it definitely. Those insane, Mir and Nyquist deals are not around anymore. What do you think happened?
I think that.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel.
Gracias, Daniel.
Yeah. Number of reasons. I think there was an influx of outside money. So like outside deals, whether it be video games, action figures, clothing companies. At that time, it sounds crazy. Most people won't believe it, but like internet was still fairly new. So like website companies that wanted to do website stuff with you. Those kind of deals, they just aren't really out there anymore. The biggest outside influence we have is energy drinks. So those are some of people's biggest deals. I think also the fact that like we had an influx of when you have like the instant gratification of social media, like you see people that are putting like the craziest tricks, people are seeing progression in real time. So that pushes progression too. And then you have like a huge talent pool that is willing to do anything for nothing. So now you have these guys that are literally world-class riders that are settling for a bike deal for $200 a month, whereas before you could do something much, much better than that because you were a select group of people that could ride at that level. So I think in some ways, social media has hurt BMX because on the rider side, like the deals got much smaller because there's tons of guys that can do 360 whip to bars and 360 whip double whips or triple whip, whatever it's like, but they're willing to do it all for nothing, so there's no real like standard as far as like who gets paid what, so a guy just getting in the sport, it's gonna be much harder for him to make anything because there are 70 other guys that can do those tricks and it would literally do it for a free pair of handlebars. So for me, I feel like that has been one of the biggest differences. Like, just the fact that like, someone will post the craziest trick, and then someone 2 days later will be like, well, I feel like I could do that. And they might have resources like Foam Pit or Resi, and they can go out and try it and learn it, and then they post it. And then someone sees them, and it's just like this exponential growth. And, I think a lot of the riding out there looks the same too. And so like, it's just not that creativity has been killed, but it's just so much easier to emulate what something has already been done than it is to go out there and be original yourself. So, I don't know. I think the combination of all that, I think honestly the industry has been taking a hit, and it has been for a long time. So like just the money's not there too, And so I don't really know how that all fits together. I think it's just like this perfect storm of like kind of shitty time and the value of riders going down, and bike companies not being able to afford, or not just bike companies, but just any kind of sponsor not being able to afford to pay riders. Like, it's just, I think that's one of the biggest things for me. There's probably a number of reasons that I don't know about. Maybe it costs more to make bikes, I don't know, but like tariffs, really adult type things that I'm not really. Scooters, yes. I mean, scooters probably had a big hit on us too, because it's like, whereas they might have gotten a bike and got into it, like scooters are a little bit cheaper, they're easier for kids to ride, it's less intimidating. I mean, I love watching scooters. Like, my sons love scooters. Like, I don't mind it, but like, to say, did that take away from it? Yeah, it probably did, because it's another category of wheels at skate parks or wheels down the street. It's just, same as skateboarding. Skateboarding takes away from us too, and we take away from them. It's just, it's a big game of give and take. But like, I think long story short, like the industry as a whole is like in a lull. It's down, Whereas when X Games first came on the scene and those mega deals were coming in, it was just like, because we didn't have social media really. The biggest outlet was TV. So TV time back then, like, I mean, still, like, you talk about Super Bowl commercials, it's like millions of dollars for like a 30-second spot. Like, we were not on par of that, but X Games was growing so huge because it was so popular. People wanted to watch it. It was like new and unique. And so when we're in front of the TV for minutes, hours, sometimes, like the logos, that's value, and that's all they knew is like advertising this and that. So like, but that's not the case anymore. Like, you don't really get any more, like, I mean, X Games is live TV, but most of it is like, live webcast, or social media, like going live on Instagram or Facebook. It's just like, the game has changed. And in some ways, I feel like it's really hard to put value on those things. Like, before it was like TV, okay, it's value. We know what it is, like, per minute on TV. I wonder if people know how to put a value on it, like, or if it's just like we're waiting for the next thing to come about, and then these things all of a sudden don't matter as much, like where did MySpace go? Like, that's gone.
I think the values all kind of reset themselves. You know what I mean? When it's a brand new idea, you get to decide what something's worth, and it's either up to the people that are a part of it to unionize, whether formally or loosely, and be like, this is what we're doing and this is what we charge, or it's up to the companies to be like, this is what we'll spend for this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Every industry is going to have a different value based upon their sales too. I think that directly reflects like their budget, what they have to spend on that. Yeah. So it's like, when that new thing comes about, it's like, okay, well, it automatically devalues like, how many followers you have on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. YouTube's like, I feel it's not the newest thing, but like, I feel like YouTube came in and like kind of reset how people looked about like, oh, well, Instagram still matters, but like, dude, if you have 1 million subscribers on YouTube, holy shit, that's crazy, And so it's just like, every time something else becomes important, it's like the game changes. And so I've seen it in BMX Freestyle, where it's like the cycle, it comes back around, whether it be tricks or fashion or bikes or whatever. It's like, it comes back around. And I think what we're seeing is this faster cycle of things with technology and all this stuff advancing, that it's happening at a rate that I just don't know if we can keep up with. It's like, it's really crazy to think about, like, back in the day, you had to wait a year to see a DVD or a movie or a VHS tape of like the riding, or like wait a month for the magazine or 2 months for the magazine to come out. It's like, and now it's like literally by the minute.
Yeah.
So, and to me, I just, that's hard to keep up with. That's hard to keep up with that kind of like information being put out. It's just, it is. So I think it's just the combination of all that. I think the biggest way people are making money now is becoming their own brand, which dilutes everything as well. But you see a lot of like, well, I can't even say a lot. You see people being successful with it because they grow their own following. They become their own brand. They're selling their own merchandise. And I think a lot of that recently has been YouTube. they create their own channel. They're creating their own content. They're becoming their own brand. They're selling T-shirts. They're doing funny stuff. People promote, want to be a part of that, so they pay them to have their product and their videos. And it's just, in some ways it's the same, in some ways it's different, but it's all changing. So I think is that that's my answer.
Okay. You satisfied?
Yeah.
Daniel's satisfied.
He's satisfied. I can see the look on his face. Super satisfied.
You still love this shit, Ryan?
I do. I love parts of it less, but I still wake up. I still look at Instagram feed to see what people are doing. I think it's different from what it was when I first came in. When I first turned pro, it was about learning tricks and traveling and doing well at contests. And I didn't really even care about where I was traveling. I just couldn't wait to see the course. Whereas now it's I generally can't wait to see the people. I want to see the people. I do want to ride the courses and stuff, but I like seeing the people that I don't get to see all the time. And it's become, because I think BMX is I consider it part of my family. These people that I grew up riding with, especially the Greenville scene. That was such a crazy, unique time that I felt like I was still growing as a person, but growing with his people. And I didn't have my family there. So these people were my family. We were literally doing Thanksgiving dinners at my house. Where people that couldn't go back home, I'd invite them to my house. And to me, that's family. When you care about enough to somebody to feed them, invite them in your home, and just so in some ways it's I get to see family. It's a family reunion every couple months, So for me, it's I really enjoy that part of it. But yeah, I do love it. I mean, I wouldn't be here if I didn't love it. Life's too short to do something you don't love. When there's something that you could really be doing that you enjoy, do that, So for me, yeah, BMX is still in my blood. I just, it just changes from time to time for me. Whether my focus is on learning the craziest trick or trying to do the best thing for the UCI in the Olympics, or, with the mountain bike thing, that's how that came about. It's just following a passion.
That's pretty cool.
Thanks, man.
You still sexually active?
From time to time, yeah.
You get a vasectomy?
I did.
What's the review on that?
My nuts are gone. I don't have nuts anymore. It's just a loose ball of flesh now, down there, that just doesn't hold anything.
I had a dog that got neutered later in life. I rescued him and stuff, but he was he didn't get neutered as a puppy, so he just had a big empty ball sack.
Damn.
Yeah.
No, I have balls still, but it's just
they just don't work.
Yeah, they work great. Feels great.
Man, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Why?
No, you shouldn't. Good move. Congratulations.
Yeah. Yeah. I have 3 kids. I don't need any more. I'm pretty happy with what I have. I'm thankful, healthy family, but I don't need another kid.
Yeah.
I don't know. That would be insane to me. For my life and what we're dealing with and what I'm doing, it's a 4th kid right now I'd make it work, but it would just be holy crap, dude. I'm drowning.
Who is your favorite BMX rider of all time?
Oh man, of all time. I don't know, man. That's a tough question. I mean, I could go with my heroes that I grew up riding with.
Hero 1. Favorite.
I don't know, man. One favorite. Can I give 3?
You can give 3, but the first one you name is going to count.
This is not fair.
That's completely fair.
No, it's not, because I was going to give reasons why I like each one.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so I need to sit close to the mic. Reason number 1, because as a person, I think I line up with him pretty closely, and it's pretty crazy the parallels that we have in our life. Dennis McCoy. I had a photo on his wall of him doing a double truck driver, a sequence of it, one of the first ones I ever saw. But when I finally turned pro and got to know him, I was like, dude, he and I are we both went to school for a very short time for engineering. There was, God, I can't even remember, but there was all these weird things that he and I are very similar. For the absolute beast mode, send it, Jay Miron. I think that he's one of the most talented dudes that have ever touched a bicycle. He could ride flatland, modern day flatland. He could still probably qualify for a contest. He was just crazy progressive. He could ride tech like crazy. So yeah, for that aspect, I think Jay. I think for the style in general, style of riding, and what he did for the sport and progression, Mira. Like I think he did so much for the sport and for me personally, like mentoring me to teach me about the bicycle industry, what it's like to be a true professional. And then also just that drive of what it takes to stay on top for a long time. Like Dave, for sure. Like, I mean, he and I were really close for a long time and he taught me so much that I don't know if I would have learned as fast or maybe even at all if it wasn't for him.
So the first one you said was Dennis McCoy. So your favorite of all time is Dennis McCoy.
Sure.
Good choice. Good choice.
Thanks.
I follow him on Spotify. I don't follow anybody on Spotify.
Is it a lot of Bob Dylan songs?
No, it's a lot of really good shit.
Really?
Yeah. I've been on the road with Dennis a little bit just at like Vans events this year. And I was talking to him about like, hey man, you always play good music. And he was like, follow me on Spotify. And I was like, I didn't know you could follow people on Spotify.
Yeah, you can do it. I know for a while he was like heavy on like a Bob Dylan kick. Yeah. And we'd meet up and be like, dude, you have to just listen to this Bob Dylan song. Listen to the words. Listen. And I was just like,
this sounds like all the other ones.
Yeah. And I'm just like, all right, man. Like, and, you could see he was really excited about it. So I try to give it the time to appreciate what he's appreciating. But I was just like, man, it's like, okay, well, that's cool, man. Like, I'll listen to this when I get home. And I'd try to give it a listen when I'm cleaning or something. But it was just like, okay, like, but I just figured it would be a bunch of Bob Dylan songs or something. But
no, he's
pretty punk rock too. Like,
he is.
Yeah.
So am I.
True.
We're both pretty bad dudes, you know what I mean? Like,
totally.
Something like that. Anything else you care to add before we get out of here?
I don't know, man. Thanks for having me on. It was fun. I've done one podcast, I think, before this.
Yeah, it probably sucked.
It was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool.
I wanted to ask you a lot about like your roots and getting into riding and stuff, and we just kind of went off on this tangent, which I think was a good thing.
Yeah.
So we will have.
Do you want me to just touch on it?
No. Well, we'll save it for another time.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of newsworthy stuff, and you have an interesting take on it, and I think it's important to get that out there.
The Olympics are pretty pressing right now. I think it's good to just kind of put information out there for people to know. And honestly, if you're curious, like, it's a really bad website to navigate, but just go to the UCI website and like pick up the rule book. Just stay informed, like don't make assumptions based upon what you might have heard or whatever. Like get the information, like, and then just know. But it's a really exciting time for the sport, for freestyle. And I just hope that people embrace it because it could be a good opportunity for our sport to like open some doors for us.
Hey, if not, it's worst case scenario. It's one more contest that a couple guys can go to and kill it, and a couple people can ignore it and whatever. But it's there's more out there.
At the end of the day, freestyle is what you make of it. So if you're not going to be in the Olympics, keep riding.
Yeah, bikes are cool, man.
Hell yeah, they are.
I'm talking about motorcycles. I like motorcycles now.
Yeah, I've seen yours. It's tight.
You jealous?
Kind of.
We should be.
Can I ride on the back?
No.
Damn.
No, I'm not.
Do you know that Lee Ramsdale and I took a trip down to New Orleans from North Carolina, and he was riding on the back of my motorcycle the entire time to Chad DeGroot's wedding?
No way.
Yeah, for real.
You know what's funny too is I just got a text from Lee saying, "What are you guys up to tonight?"
Really?
So maybe we're gonna go see Lee.
That'd be awesome.
All right, Ryan. Thank you. You're a wonderful man.
Hell yeah.
You've always been a good friend to me, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And you've always been a good friend to the BMX world, and on their behalf, they should appreciate that. You're a good man. We could use a lot more of you and a lot less of me and Daniel Dares and stuff.
True.
So thank you for all that you bring to the table, and keep up the good work. And I expect to see you in the Olympics, and if not, you owe me $500.
I guaranteed to be there for sure.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks.
All right. That does it for this week. Big thank you to Ryan Nyquist for joining us. If you're into pretty gross stuff, follow him on Instagram at Ryan Nyquist, no space in there. And until next week, just remember, it doesn't count if you don't pull the rollback. Thanks.